I'm Dan Galusha and welcome to another edition of Shootin' Plink. This is a continuation of a video that we did a while back about taking the Golden Boy Youth and turning it into a carbine. At that time, you know, we were having just a little bit of a problem tuning in that Skinner sight. Well, I'll show you why. And it's certainly not the Skinner's fault. What we had to do is up here in the front, the top sight, it had to be a taller sight. So today I got out some Colibri Super ammunition. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But I used that to fire it and see what's going on, and I'll show you the targets here. After firing it, I realized that I was doing okay as far as groupings. Now disregard all these other shots because a lot of these are pellets and other guns where I was just trying it. This right here, that's 15 rounds. Okay, it was in the middle, but I wanted it to be over this way a little bit. So I thought, I don't want to move that Skinner sight because back here I always like to keep those straight. I mean, yes, I can move that, I can adjust it, it is adjustable for windage, but I didn't want to do that. So I started checking it out. Why is it doing it? Well, I found out that this thing was a bead off. That's right. It had to be moved over. Now that was to the right, so your front sight has to be moved that direction. It was off to the left. One bead. I was measuring it out. Just the bead. I'm talking about this little brass bead right up here in the front. It was off that far. So I got out my Henry brass hammer and little punch, tapped it very, very gently. I mean, you don't want to go whole hog with the thing and knock it way over, because when it's just that slight. So I readjusted it, and I'll show you what I did. I fired 22 rounds. Disregard this one. This was a cold barrel shot. That was the first round. Didn't do any more adjusting, and all of this right in here, that's 22 rounds in the middle. That's what I did by just taking that front sight and adjusting it. Now we'll talk about the Colibri. I told you about that, and I know right away everybody's gonna say, why did you use that stuff? It's dirty, it's dirty. Yes, it is, but I clean my guns all the time anyway. Plus I'm in an area right here that I better be doing it quietly, and I'll tell you, Colibri Super is not quiet in a pistol. I tried it. It's pretty noisy. It sounds like a real loud black cat firecracker, even a little bit louder. But in a rifle, it's not too bad, and we're going to get to that. Aguila says do not use it in a rifle. Well, I'd say definitely not the regular standard version, which is much lower velocity. In fact, it's less than what some of the air guns are, and it would be a lot quieter. But the Super, I have fired it very successfully in a Henry long barrel, Frontier long barrel. Well, that's 24-inch barrel, and it's one out of there. Well, what happens? Why don't they want you to fire it? It's because there have been some rounds lodged in the barrel. And of course, if you get one in there, don't fire another round. Make sure that you're doing okay. But with this, my little carbine, no problem at all. Plus, it was very, very quiet. The Super's got enough punch to it to sight it in. Now, those were, while we're talking about it, I was shooting those at 10 meters. And that's another thing about the Colibri. If you're using that, don't plan on getting a lot of distance. You get back to 25 yards, it's pretty good. You just don't know. 15 with the Super is probably your max for your decent shooting. But 10, that's your max for your other one, without a doubt. So I go in there to that 10 meter mark, which is about 11 yards actually. And then I fire it there. Anything from 5, 7, 10 is great for that. You ought to be doing just fine, especially if you're shooting it out of a pistol. If you're in an area where it doesn't make it much difference. Now, when I start shooting at Cedar Oaks, There's still neighbors over a ways that I guess get a little upset at banging, even though it's legal there. I've got approval, everything else. So I'm going to be using a lot of quiet ammo. I'm going to be using the CCI quiet. I'm going to try a new one that's a Winchester suppressor. Also, I'm going to shoot shorts, at least with my Henrys, because my Henrys do. You load up a full-size Henry, like the full-size Golden Boy, you're going to be able to put 21 rounds in that thing with shorts. So I'll be able to do quite a bit of shooting with that. And where I've got it all set up there on a, and we're going to be doing a video on that, by the way, comparing those and seeing what they're going to be like. So we'll be talking about that later. But what I wanted to talk to you about was actually adjusting this Skinner sight. I mean, like I said, you can loosen this up right here and up here, and you loosen it here. You can raise and lower that by screwing it in and out. This, you can take the screw, move that, and move it back and forth. This Skinner Express sight, I love it. And I don't want to adjust it. If I don't have to, now I will on elevation if I have to, but I'm leaving it there. But that front sight's what had it all messed up. And that's by just taking care of that, you can see what I did. So there's some ideas for you if you're going to be adjusting. Now, my little Golden Boy carbine is really a great shooter, and I love it. So until next time, shoot safe and have a great